Welcome in episode 18, live, Ramie and Drew. I'm Ramie Makhlouf. That's Drew Flaggy. We're coming to you after a 123-97 loss for the Milwaukee Bucks against the Miami Heat. Drew, you said this about the game last week against the Timberwolves, that if it wasn't for this show and us doing a live stream, that's one that you might have turned off a little bit earlier and turned to the video games. You were killing some kind of zombies before we turned on the live stream while I was trying to work out some. It sounded like you were killing zombies while I was trying to work out some technical difficulties over here. I get the sense that once again tonight you might have turned to zombie killing earlier than usual, if not for this fine program that we're doing right here tonight.
Yeah. When we got it down to 9 points, I was pretty encouraged that we were going to get up that hill. Damian Lillard looked like a new player coming out of the half. And then that went to shit. The wheels fell off pretty quick.
What happened? They stomped the defending champs last night.
Tired legs, I guess you could chalk it up to that. We could do the Boston Celtics thing and just say, well, it was the second night of a back-to-back and it doesn't count. But also, they showed the best records on back-to-backers this season earlier in the game. The Bucks and the Celtics had the same record. Well, now we don't. Now we're 7-3 in back-to-backers.
I will say this. In the first half, I thought there were good shots there. They just weren't falling. And then in the second half, I was, like you said, they cut it down to 8. And I was a little bit encouraged at that point. And I was like, maybe they turn this thing around. Maybe these good shots that weren't falling in the first half going to start falling here in the second half, and you can slowly close the gap and turn this thing around. But then it just fell apart. And honestly, from the late third quarter on, Drew, it reminded me a lot of that Minnesota game where it was sloppy, it was dumb, it was lazy, like it was bad basketball. It wasn't that in the first half. In the first half, I think they were in the right spots at the right time. The Heat were hot. No pun intended there. They were hitting a lot of shots, even ones that were well defended, and the Bucks were not hitting shots that were open and were not all that well defended. But I can accept that. That's an easier pill to swallow than when guys just don't look like they know where they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to be doing at any given time.
Yeah. So the easier pill to swallow is our role players missing shots. It's getting increasingly frustrating. We keep beating the whole drum. Oh, Dame Lillard's going to break out of it. Is he? Seriously, it's like, I don't want to be the guy that's sitting here being like, because I was the one that said it'll take till the playoffs. But he got open looks again today. He's getting his shots. He's got to get this together. Like this was a game. This should have been a no-brainer. This should have been 25 points for Dame Lillard. You had no Rozier, you had no Jimmy Butler, and you let Duncan Robinson beat you in isolation. That guy lost his starting job. That guy was the Pat Connaughton of last year. That guy lost his job on that Miami Heat team, the dirtiest, nastiest, filthiest, culturiest team in the league. Worldwide superstars, the Miami Heat. They have 15 max contract players. And he lost his fucking job. And he beat Damian Lillard, a top 75 player in isolation. Come on,
yeah,
dude. Like, that was tough to watch.
The Dame Lillard thing. The Dame Lillard thing, Drew, I refuse to panic. I sense a little bit of panic in your voice. I still refuse to panic and still choose to believe that Dame time will return, that the clock will strike Dame time once again at some point here in the near future. I'm not gonna start to lose faith or start to question if that's gonna happen. The dude is not falling off a cliff as soon as he gets to Milwaukee. It's just not gonna happen. There needs some settling in to happen. And I think that the Doc Rivers hiring makes the ground shift under his feet even a little bit more. Man, this is a guy, and Drew, you and I have talked about this extensively, who's played in one place his entire career. He's been out on the West Coast his entire life, between growing up in Oakland and playing his college basketball out there, getting drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers. He's has a lot to adjust to, not to mention a divorce, being away from his family and his kids, a first-time head coach to start the season, playing with the superstar like Giannis for the first time. You fire the coach. Now he has another coach that he has to learn how to play for and whose system to play within all over again and adjust to his teaching and coaching style. It's a lot, man. And I refuse to believe that this guy is not going to figure it out. Like, and you've said this, Drew, come playoff time, I have to believe that if not before that, instinct takes over. You know what I mean? And just the killer that this dude is comes out. I'm not going to lose faith in Dame, and I'm not going to start to panic. Not yet. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it just yet.
I'm not panicking. I'm annoyed. There's a difference.
I get that. That's the same thing I said last week against the Timberwolves.
So that must be pretty crazy that Damian Lillard literally scored every single one of his points for his entire career that made him a top 75 player in Portland. That's pretty crazy that he never scored a point in any other city. That's nuts. No, it's like, dude, this isn't baseball. The field isn't different dimensions. This isn't football where you're outside at Lambeau and it's snowing. The court is the court except for Denver where you got the altitude adjustment. Other than that, the court is the court. Sure, sight lines here and there with, the banners and stuff. But, like, come on, man. You can't sit here and say that, like, the Doc Rivers system, he has to learn how to play. Doc told him to take his open shots. They're getting him open shots. He's handling the ball more. He's running the offense more. At what point is this a Dame Lillard problem?
No, I'm not saying it's not a Dame Lillard problem. All of what I just said is a Dame Lillard problem. Nobody's going to figure any of that out. Nobody's going to make him comfortable on or off the court other than Dame Lillard. He's the one who's got to get over this stuff. I'm not saying that it's Doc Rivers' fault or anybody's problem but Dame's. It's Dame's problem. No doubt about it. But these are all things that we have to consider. And hey, man, if you're starting to get frustrated or annoyed or whatever the case might be, I can't blame you. I can't fault you for that. I totally understand it. I'm just not there. And I don't think I will get there, Drew, until we get to the postseason and this guy is not showing up for this team. I will start to get a little nervous. Like if we get all the way through the regular season and we still don't see a Dame time or that level of play on a consistent basis, I'll go into the playoffs going, man, I hope he does. I hope he finds himself and instinct takes over and this guy snaps out of it in the postseason. But I don't think that there will be panic, nervousness, maybe panic or anger or doubt. That I don't think that'll set in until I see a postseason where Dame doesn't show up.
So my next point is going to be, how many points did Damian Lillard score tonight?
16 on 5 of 14 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3.
Do you think Drew Holiday could have done that?
Yes.
And played better defense? That's my problem. We traded defense for offense knowing what we were getting on the defensive end. And that defense is whatever. It's what we get is what we get. He's been at least a little bit more tenacious on defense. He's forced a couple good traps here and there. But other than that, dude, that offense, you got to be bringing 20 a night. I'm gonna start talking like everyone talks about Chris Middleton. I want 20 a goddamn night out of you. No more 18s, no more 14s. Enough of that shit. If you got to be the least exciting superstar in the league like James Harden and you jack up 30 fucking shots to get your 20 piece, then you goddamn start doing it. Because I don't need Pat Connaughton touching the ball. I've been liking AJ Green. I'm confident that he could take one shot a night and he's probably got a 50-50 shot of making it. That's a better ratio than what we got with Dame. So take 30 fucking shots. Don't give the ball to Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis will get his. He'll back guys down. You know what you do? Start shooting. Start shooting floaters. Start going.
Yeah, I've been saying, Drew.
It's irritating. It's really irritating that it's like.
And I've said myself.
I've sitting here and be like, he's gonna break out of it. He's gonna break out of it. He's gonna break out of it. I keep saying he's my favorite player on the team. He's gonna break out of it. And the only guy who hasn't gotten his shit together on that team is him. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating because like this was a game tonight. I know it's a back-to-backer and you can't sit there and say that you're going to win. Any game's a gimme. this team, the Miami Heat, were already punting this game early, apparently, per their media people, saying that they got in super late this morning. Oh, their shoot-around time was cut into. No Jimmy Buckets for a couple games until after the All-Star break because he had a death in the family. Like, there's, they had they're out Terry Rozier, their guard, the guy that was supposed to be guarding Damian Lillard, so they had to reluctantly put Duncan fucking Robinson on him. And you can't beat Duncan Robinson? Come on. The only guy on that team that's worth half a shit is Tyler Hero. What the hell? I don't know if you're frozen or if you're just confused at everything I'm saying, but God, dude, like that is just Bam Adebayo's.
I was frozen. I just unfroze. I just unfroze as you asked me. I don't know if you're frozen or if I was just confused. I was frozen there for like 2 minutes, and I think you were just ranting the whole time.
I was.
Sure. Did you even? Okay. All right. Did you even notice?
No, I was ranting the entire time. Because it's like this was
okay. Good.
If we would have lost to Denver, that's easier to tolerate than Kevin Love going nuclear on us again. Holy shit. He looked like the Minnesota Timberwolves Kevin Love that had the long-ass fucking armpit hair.
Yeah, he looked like that guy. He had 19 points. He had 19 points on 6 of 8 from the field in 23 minutes.
He did this. He torched us from 3 again. Now I get it. He's old. He's got bad hips like an old German Shepherd. I understand it. He's got to slide under guys to get, to try to get his blocking fouls. He did it to Bobby. Dude, I damn near threw a fucking baseball at my TV. I was looking for something to throw at my TV because if Bobby Portis would have gotten fucking hurt and they would have called a charge on Bobby Portis, I would have walked my ass down to the Pfizer for him because I've had enough of this Kevin Love horse shit. He did this.
By the way, speaking of
playoffs. This soft-ass weak defense where guys are just like, they get outside the restricted zone and they slip under somebody and undercut players. It's annoying. It shouldn't be a foul. It shouldn't be rewarded. And God damn it, Kevin Love, I'm glad he gets his senior citizen coffee tomorrow at McDonald's at the airport.
Speaking of terrible calls that Kevin Love got, what the fuck was that call that they overturned from a foul on Kevin Love to a foul on Pat Connaughton after they reviewed? Not only did not take the foul away from Kevin Love, they overturned it and made it a foul on Pat Connaughton, saying Kevin Love had the ball when the contact happened, and he very much did not have. I hate to go all NFL on this. He very much did not have possession of that basketball at any point before that contact occurred, and that contact was above the shoulder. If anything, that review should have come back as a flagrant one, that with above the shoulder contact to Pat Connaughton's head.
I think it could have been a no call. Honestly, like if you're gonna look at it, because I don't think Kevin Love lowered his shoulder to try to. He wasn't using the Madden hit stick on Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton's face finds its way into every kind of hard part of another person's body. Pat Connaughton gets punched in the face once a game. He gets drop kicked half the time. And hell, sometimes you can qualify it as a chair shot with the way he was flying into Gruber's seats most of the time on a pump fake. But yeah, I was like that entire play was a microcosm of this entire game. It was just nothing went the Bucks' way, and they couldn't get their way out of it. It's like they did something bad, like there was a bad call, there was a bad sequence, and then the Bucks made it worse. Oh, Steve Pollock.
Steve says, according to Reddit, the entire team is washed. It needs a complete rebuild.
Drew, you're not part of the Milwaukee Bucks nation, are you? Because Brooke Lopez has been washed the entire season. Chris Middleton should have been traded for Klay Thompson several times, even before the trade deadline. Giannis screwed this entire team up, and Dame Lillard hates being here. John Horst ruined team's future. Like, dude, you are not plugged into all the insane shit that it's not just Reddit, it's everywhere. Like it's infected everybody.
There are dark corners. There are dark corners on every platform of social media and the internet. It's not unique to Reddit. We talked about this with Nathan Marzian of the Green and Growing podcast. You can go back and check that out on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. And yeah, man, I try to stay away. I think, but you're a younger man than me, Drew. When I was your age, when I was Nathan's age, I still would go into those dark places. Back then, they were like chat rooms. They weren't social media necessarily. They were more the chat rooms, and I'd go there. Not those types of dark chat rooms, all right?
Luke, Richard, and Bob Mute. There's just some Serbian guy jacking his dick. Just fucking chat.
But yeah, man, I try to go where there are reasonable opinions about not just the Bucks or sports, just everything in general. There are a lot of wild opinions because anybody can just start a podcast these days and put any old opinion out there, right? Or start a social media handle and have all sorts of crazy, outlandish opinions. I like to go where they're backed in fact and reason, or they're based in fact and reason and logic. That's where I like to get my Bucks takes.
And if I say crazy enough shit now, in 10 years, I could be president. So
no, you have to wait until you're 80, dude. Don't you know?
Well, I'll start running now, and then I'll get senile like both of the ones we got going. So I'll go up. I'll be like, I remember 2021 when I was talking to Giannis. I was like, do the thing, and then he did 50.
By the way, anybody who wants to get in on the show, I tweeted out the link earlier at Ramie is tweeting. That's RAMIE is tweeting. He is Drew F is on fire on Twitter. You can jump in and comment on the show yourself. Be on the air with Ramie and Drew.
I've told you why I go to those places. I don't take them seriously. I like to see what people are talking about. And a lot of the time, how much of our fan base is relying on the crap that, I don't know, fat people like Brian Windhorse have.
I knew you were going there, and that's why I was just pulling it up. And let me play it before you go crazy over it. I'm not gonna try and share the screen because it'll freeze my whole computer, because apparently that's just too hard for my computer to do.
Before you play this, just so you know, everybody who retweeted this, I watched it over and over again. I watched this thing like it was the JFK assassination. Like, I watched it from every fucking angle. I have theories. I tried to make sense of it. There was another commentator that was in the grassy knoll saying crazier shit. This was an FBI psyop. I don't know what Brian Windhorse was talking about, and I don't know suddenly when Richard Jefferson turned into an idiot, because I like Richard Jefferson.
You don't need to see. They're just playing a Giannis highlight while they all give their hot MVP takes, because this was the NBA MVP straw poll at ESPN today. I talked about this with Bart Winkler on Into the Winklerverse earlier today. It was a very fun conversation and a visit I had with Bart today after he was on our show yesterday. You can hear that or see that on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And it was like a mock MVP. They do it exactly the way that the NBA MVP vote is done at the end of the season. They had 100 media members. You get a first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place vote. Giannis came in third in the overall polling. He came in third place in the MVP, but I think he was only on 87 ballots, if I remember correctly. 13 people left him off, who were saying he wasn't a top 5 player in this league, and that's just wild. And the fact is, he's top 2 and maybe not 2. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fact. But
tonight hurt his campaign more than last night's win did. Him not putting up 30 on Bam Adebayo, they're going to be like, see, he couldn't do it back-to-back nights.
Yeah.
And I told you last night that there were going to be people sitting there saying, but Jokic's players didn't knock down all of those assists. That's the only reason Jokic lost last night. It wasn't like they flipped it to make it everyone else on the Bucks' fault for making the shots when Giannis distributed the ball.
I don't know if this is any copyright infringement or anything, or if we'll get in trouble, but I'm just going to play this into my microphone. Tell me if you can hear it, Drew, just so folks can hear what Brian Windhorse and the rest of the crew had to say about Giannis's place in MVP voting at this time. This was on NBA Live earlier today.
Donovan Mitchell was in my top 5, but he wasn't in the top 5 with the straw.
Who was in your top 5, Brian?
I had Jokic, and then and Shea, and then I had Kawhi third. I had Donovan fourth, and I had Luka fifth.
So no Giannis. So that's where it's going to get really tough for voters this year. Like,
and
you do this vote right now when they're going through a coaching change, and let me say that will affect voters. That will affect voters, and we've seen it.
Pause it. Richard Jefferson played on the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron got David Blatt fired. And he had and LeBron finished third that year in MVP voting. And Richard Jefferson has the balls to say that affects the voting. Eat shit, Richard Jefferson, you moron. Dude, it's not just comedians that are doing this. There's a reason the R word is making a resurgence.
No, there's no good reason for that. There's no good reason for that.
If they shut Richard Jefferson up, if they didn't allow, Brian Windhorst, if they didn't allow Brian Windhorst to talk, 98% of the time I have used the R word would go away. I would have no reason to say it anymore.
Don't say it.
It's like McDonald's.
Don't pull a Chris Broussard here and have me have to look at you the way his co-hosts look at him. All right, let's continue on with Richard Jefferson in the game.
A coach gets fired, if things start to change over, they oftentimes look at the stars, and those stars are the ones that are going to be voted on for MVP. But let me be very clear when we talk about a pathway. I think there's a pathway for 3 people: Shea, Kawhi, and Donovan Mitchell. I think those 3, if Shea finishes number 1, he's putting up stats, keeps doing a great job like he has.
Or even just top 2.
Again, and then if you look at Kawhi Leonard, if his team continues this trajectory that they've been on for the last 6-7 weeks, same thing. Donovan Mitchell, same way. They're number 2 right now.
I'm stunned Kawhi's on the top 5. He was firmly
He's stunned. He's stunned. Kawhi is not in the top 5.
Kawhi's scoring 24 fucking points per game. He's like...
He's stunned. Kawhi isn't in the top 5. He's
what the
fine.
fuck are you doing?
He's fine with Giannis's place in the voting. He's stunned. Kawhi isn't in the top. Get all the way the fuck out of here. That is
every
comical,
one
dude.
of them.
And Drew, I said this yesterday on this show. I said this today on Bart's show. The whole thing of the coaching change and any turmoil, and I tweeted this out as well at Ramie is tweeting. I'm just getting it out there on as many platforms as I can. That whole thing, if anything, Drew, works in Giannis's favor. They've been second or third in the East the entire season. They've been 4th or 5th in the NBA record wise the entire season, despite the fact that the ground has been moving under their feet, despite the fact they fired their head coach. And the only reason that they're there is because of Giannis. He's never been more deserving of an MVP than he is right now. This is insanity. If this was Joel Embiid, if this was Jokic, if this was anybody else that was carrying their team to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA, while all this was swirling around him, people would be like, wow, can you believe this guy is doing this? But with Giannis, it's somehow his fault and a detriment to his case for the MVP. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely insane. And I told you last night that they are going to spin whatever they can. And it's like, it's crazy. It's exactly, it's like, wow, how was I proven so immediately right about what I said? I want to be wrong. I want to be the conspiracy lady at the Super Bowl. I want to be this person. I don't fucking understand how the hell they can say, they don't watch this team. First of all, Brian Windhorst is too busy. Dude, Brian Windhorst, when he says anything about Giannis, he has to close his eyes because he's so full of shit that if all of the holes in his head are open, shit.
But you know what? I'm not here to defend. I'm not here to defend Brian Windhorst, and certainly not that take. I've gone on and on about what a dumb take that was that we just heard from him and Richard Jefferson. And I forget it was one of the Bucks podcasters. I don't mean to dismiss or demean any of them by mixing them all up and think, but I don't remember which one it was legitimate. I think it might have been Frank Madden. I don't know. One of them pointed out that Brian Windhorst has openly had Giannis first place on his MVP balloting multiple times publicly, has put Giannis first place on his balloting. What's that?
Was it cool back then? Was it trendy to have Giannis?
That's what I'm saying, Drew. And that's what I think is happening here. I think that the MVP vote, and you know what, man, so much of
like bell-bottom jeans. I got it. That's fucking stupid.
No, so much of the NBA. I was just talking to some friends of mine in a group chat today about how ESPN gets a lot of shit, and they deserve a lot of shit for what they've done to sports talk and sports media and everything else. But and we were talking about the NFL in this particular discussion, and I said when it comes to NFL analysts, the ESPN does an amazing job. Like you watch NFL Live with Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark and Mina Kimes, and they're breaking down tape. They're giving you like inside stats and analytics and everything else. And you learn about football watching that. The opinionists on ESPN I understand why people take issue with them. The NBA coverage is so much of the opinionists, not just on ESPN, across the board. NBA coverage has become so much about opinionists and narratives and storylines and the off the court stuff and what makes good stories, that I think some of the more analytical coverage is getting lost when it comes to this sport, man. And people want good stories when it comes to MVPs instead of MVPs. You know what I mean? Like when Giannis had 2 already, or when Jokic had 2 already, and people were going, yeah, maybe they are the MVP, but then they're going to have 3 MVPs, and only Jordan and blah, 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 blah have done that. And is this guy in the same class as that guy? And it's not about that. It's about who's the MVP in this season. We can parse the rest out later about what it means for history. But right now, it's about who's the most valuable player in this season.
And so, like, the whole thing, again, we'll go back to the Giannis with the firing of Adrian Griffin. You go back to Christmas Day, where, this is the second time in a row that we played the New York Knicks. And all they talked about in that entire game, in between, the halftime show, the pregame show, Bucks defense has been bad under Adrian Griffin. It's been bad. It's bad. The Bucks defense is bad. Okay, so how are we winning those games? Well, Giannis averaging what he's averaging on the season, points, rebounds, assists, all of that. He has been consistent. Chris Middleton was getting his legs back. He wasn't that consistent to start the year, if you want to go the consistency route. He was playing well, but he was on limited minutes up until that point. So you didn't have the guy who's been with Giannis for a long time. Fine. Brook Lopez out of position a lot with this weird blitz defense that Griffin wanted to play. He wasn't as much of a factor, but he was still second place in the NBA, holding pretty strong with blocks per game. So, and then you got Malik Beasley shooting a career high from 3, NBA best shooting from 3. You got that. So then you got Dame Lillard, who everyone's been saying, offense needed to run through Dame more. It's got to run through Dame more. And Damian Lillard, basically, I guess you could say now at this point, having a down season outside of assists, but even this month, his assists have been down since what it was to start the year. Who has been the constant of this team that has the Bucks in third place in the East through all of these struggles, all of these bad basketball games? Who has been the guy who's called the team out and then scored a 48-point triple-double against Houston? Who's the one guy who's been doing this? And it's Giannis. It's not Donovan fucking Mitchell, because he's got enough other guys on that team that can make up for him if he doesn't have a night. Julius Randle, it's not you over there. And Jalen Brunson, you've had a good year. Okay, I could entertain Jalen Brunson or something like that. Or I could even entertain, I guess, Tyrese Halliburton, because they're much better when he's out there. SGA is playing great. Jokic is what Jokic is. Like, he is phenomenal. Luka's been playing great. It's no knock against those guys outside of, like I said, Donovan Mitchell, because I don't know how Giannis isn't above almost all of those guys. Giannis has beaten the Dallas Mavericks twice, head-to-head against Luka. Luka, by the way, didn't ever duck the Milwaukee Bucks. So there's that on him. Embiid also. Luka will at least go and face the goddamn competition out there. And Luka's having a fantastic season. But this crap where it's like, was it Griffin's fault? Was it Dame Lillard's fault? Whose fault is it that Giannis isn't the MVP when he has dragged that fucking organization through all the trials and tribulations? What has Donovan Mitchell had to overcome?
Yeah,
what,
the Bucks
Garland is out?
Giannis has never had a season this good where the Bucks have been as highly ranked as they have been in the standings, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? And that's my way of saying that Giannis has never deserved an MVP more than he does this year. He's never had to do more heavy lifting for a team that was the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference than he's done this year. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but the 30 points and 70% shooting, he's done that more times than anybody ever has, I think, is the stat that I saw. And that's in the first fucking half of a season. Like, he's having a historically great season. And like we've been saying, Drew, carrying this team, carrying the load for this team to be the second or third team in the East from start to finish so far. And somehow that's a knock against him. I don't understand it.
After last year, also, like I said, Jokic deserved the MVP last year, in my opinion. If I had a vote, I was going for Jokic because he had the better season last year than he did.
We'll ever get a vote? I think the Ramie and Drew show will ever get an MVP vote.
No, because I've called Brian Windhorst a fat fuck. Honestly, I would fight him to the unalived. I would do that on a live stream. I would box the fuck out of all of his chins because of his dumb.
I've tried to rein you in and ask you to be a little bit more responsible with some of the things you say on this show, but at the same time, I've challenged Rob Manfred to a fight on every platform that I've ever been on.
Tag team it
on every station and every platform that I've ever been on. So I can't say no. I can't say no. Don't challenge Brian Windhorst to a live stream fight on our YouTube channel.
What are we on right now? Like, are we on the Zoom Freak 5s, Zoom Freak 4s?
I'm not sure.
Buy a pair and beat the shit out of him with those. I don't care. I want, like, what Giannis's new shoes say, like, thank you Thanasis or something on them because like let him borrow his shoes. I want that just imprinted in Windhorst's head. I'll smack him in the neck. It'll look like he got a no regrets tattoo across his neck. It'll say thank you Thanasis back. What a dumb fucking human being he is. Like, oh my God.
I don't think he's dumb. I don't. And I don't think Brian Windhorst is dumb. I think Brian Windhorst is just a part of the machine. And I'm not just talking about ESPN when I talk about the machine. I mean, the NBA media machine has turned into this thing where narratives and storylines are more important than basketball. And who are the three guys that he named? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's everybody's new favorite face of the NBA because they're trying to find a new one every year as LeBron as
Instagram.
Right. As LeBron James ages. Kawhi Leonard was the other one, and that would be, a great comeback story from a guy who's been an MVP before and is coming back to the mountaintop and blah, 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 blah. And then who was the third guy that Brian Windhorst mentioned?
Donovan Mitchell.
I mean, there's another new face, although he's not really new at this point, but if he was able to make that jump to that next level of superstardom into being an MVP, Giannis is just consistent and boring. He doesn't change teams. He doesn't have down seasons. He doesn't cause trouble. It's consistent and in this world of the NBA media where everything is about narratives and storylines and what's entertaining and what makes a good story, that's kind of boring to these guys.
Yeah.
Brian Windhorst is just caught up in that.
I think you nailed it when you said that he is part of the machine. And you know what else is a machine, Ramie? Your car. Have you ever gotten out to your car in the morning and it hasn't started and the first thought in your head is this dumb fucking machine? This is exactly the machine. ESPN is like my car. If the battery dies because it's cold. I'm like, wow, what a stupid piece of shit. That's
okay. All right. Well, on that note,
it's okay. I'm done yelling now. Like this
right.
It was just crazy that we talked about this last night and you looked at me like I was crazy. You were like, I don't know if it's as bad. And then literally that clip comes up and I'm like,
you're right. You're right.
We have reached peak parody.
And like I said, that's not what they did is not even like, it's not even, I don't know. It's not outlandish because like I said, they do this every year. They recreated the NBA MVP voting. This isn't like just NBA or just ESPN personalities. This is what NBA MVP voting would look like if it came out today. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm saying this isn't just Brian Windhorst. This isn't just a Brian Windhorst issue. This is an NBA media problem, man. And there are a lot of real good people in the NBA media, but I'm just saying like the stuff that gets a lot of the attention and a lot of the spotlight is the screaming, is the opinions,
what do you think I'm doing?
what's a good story, and it's not like what's real, what's facts, what's actually happening. And like I said, steady, consistent, boring Giannis, it doesn't necessarily make, dude, a lot of the people who are analyzing the NBA were are ex-NFL players. You know what I mean? Like that's like the NBA media, like talking heads coverage is not in the best shape right now. It's just not.
Yeah. So like, also, like, I'll even say this, like, do I care if Giannis wins the MVP? At the end of the day, no, it doesn't change my life at all. Do I want to stand up for my franchise player? Absolutely. He doesn't need me to stand up for him, and he's never going to see this or give a shit. It doesn't matter. But like, yeah, this is all part of the game that we're all watching. You know, you and me are trying to cover it. You know, I'm doing a little bit more crass than you are. But man, like, it is bizarre to see these takes where it's like, yeah, I'm literally watching this. Like, Sabonis, I think, leads the league this year in triple doubles, because I misspoke before and I said Giannis leads the league. No, he just has more triple doubles than I believe Luka and Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has. I might be wrong about Luka, but Sabonis far and away I think has the most triple doubles this year. But like, I don't watch Sacramento religiously enough to sit there and have a full opinion on, is De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis the MVP, or should they be in the running? I don't know. I just watch my team and I watch my guy outplay and outscore. And then you go look at the stats, because we've been looking at stats a lot more since we started doing this show, of like, wait, are my eyes lying? Did I not see this right? Should Dame have the ball more? Like, we're looking at the actual numbers behind this, and we're pulling them from ESPN. So it's like, you can't be that insane that two guys sitting in their houses in Milwaukee are doing more of this research than people who are paid to have opinions. Like, that's what's stupid. And then you go and get our fans and like people that we know who will, seriously, when the Bucks are losing, they'll hit me up and be like, Damian Lillard needs the ball more. Well, you pull up the fucking numbers from ESPN, but it's like, but Kendrick Perkins said so. Jalen Rose said so. It's like, well, motherfucker, are you watching Bally Sports Wisconsin when it decides to work? Or are you like Giannis Dangerfield? It's just disrespectful, man. I'm tired. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired.
I wanted to get you with that banner. I just thought of that right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
felt like somebody rubbing my ears. I was like, yeah, this is woosah right now. This is nice. This is good.
Before we wrap it up, I did want to bring up just a couple other things with you, Drew. Not Bucks related. If we've gotten everything off our chest, Bucks related. Did you realize today? I just saw this on Twitter today. 44 days until baseball regular season opening day. Like this one snuck up on me. We're just 44 days away from like real baseball happening.
Did it sneak up on you, or was this January? Like, that meme was so accurate that January was the longest month, or was the longest year of this month. Like, they flipped it. It was good. January felt ever, and now it's already Valentine's Day, Ramie.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. Are you all ready? You all set? You got the gift? You got reservations? Okay, good. All right.
Well, I don't have the reservation. My girlfriend's out of town right now. She's got stuff going on. So we're doing Valentine's Day on Friday.
Oh, so, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's we already had that plan. She knew she was going out of town for a long time. So we're not doing tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a zombie killing Valentine's Day for me. Probably going to go to the Laughing Tap, I would assume.
I am not. I'm making dinner. It's going to be romantic surf and turf dinner here at the house.
Yeah. Your girlfriend lives with you, so that's an easier thing to do. Mine has life and shit to do. That's why she
mine has shit to do too. It's me that doesn't have shit to do. I'm the one who's unemployed.
Yeah, your girlfriend's the one that's in bed by like 9 o'clock and then can't take the dog out, and then both of you have to pee. You got to cut the show like early.
Yeah, I'm probably being too loud right now as we speak. If I'm being real. And lastly,
project. No, but like honestly, like I'm actually sad that baseball is going to be starting up pretty soon because of how nice of weather we've had recently, like this January.
Pretty great.
In February. it's been like in the 50s. I'm like, man, this is like what opening day should be. And then I've gone to several opening days where there's been a fucking blizzard. So good.
I just said to some friends of mine the other day, it's crazy how after like a few weeks of that brutal cold that we just had, like that -30 wind chill type of shit, like 40 and sunny feels like spring. Like you get the shorts and hoodie going. You know what I mean? When it's 40 and sunny after you've done with the after you've dealt with that bullshit.
It's probably why I have a sinus infection right now, to be honest. I was going outside good.
All right. One more comment. This is our buddy Ben Meyer. He says Bucks in 6 and all hail Tank Commander Pat Murphy. I don't think it's a tank. We gotta get Ben on the show to talk about this. I don't think it's a tank, Ben. I think the Brewers are gonna be just fine, to be quite honest with you. I think they're gonna be just fine.
Dude, they're gonna tread water. They're gonna absolutely tread water. They'll be fine. I think they're gonna be above.
They'll be in the race. They'll be in the race for the NL Central. I promise.
What I really want out of the Brewers, and I'm gonna stick by this. Like, I want Jackson Chourio to just play the whole season. Bring him up.
That's what I would want to. That's what I would want to.
Like you
want.
You want the Cubs.
No, go ahead.
I want the Brewers to just have Jackson Chourio come up and just let him play. That's it. That's all I need.
Oh man, I can't wait for baseball season. We should do a few shows from.
He's like the way the Fanatics is. Like, that's been going around Twitter too.
The what?
The jerseys look like shit. Like Fanatics is like in charge of like making like the jerseys now. It's not like just Nike. It's been like outsourced. Like, dude, look up.
You know, I saw somebody complaining about this on Twitter today, and I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. What did they do to the jerseys?
So actually, it was like the Cardinals pitcher Miles Mikolas who said something about like the jersey and just said that they fit bad and like that they're all wrong. And if you actually go look at it, they've had side by sides. I think there was a side by side of the Seattle Mariners home white jerseys, and then Miles Mikolas had his jersey up against last year's jersey and this year's, and like it looks like Wish.com made these jerseys. Like they seriously look like
they were ordered off Taboo.
They look like $20 jerseys. They look like horrible. Like the numbers seem like they're too close together. Like when somebody gets a fake jersey, like you can tell right away.
Oh,
like
no.
The
official jerseys. The official jerseys are knockoff jerseys now. Is that what you're telling me?
No, they seriously do look like knockoff jerseys. They look bad.
Wow.
I mean, I already think that the Nike jerseys across the board for everybody have been pretty terrible and pretty shittily made. Like all of my.
Are you telling me Rob Manfred is fucking up another thing?
No, this is a Nike thing. This is, I mean, Majestic, their jerseys were great. All of my Majestic authentic jersey, and like when you would buy like I have a bunch of authentic like Brewers jerseys from back when they were like really good. So I got like my Braun, my Greinke, my Gallardo jersey. You know, obviously got Fielder. Those were all great. Even the All-Star jerseys were for batting practice ones. All good jerseys, and they all held up through the years. These Nike ones are crap, and then they're also like $450 now. If you want like an authentic Christian Yelich jersey, they used to be $230, which like that's a lot, but like, you know, you're like, all right, I'm gonna
still too much.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and now it's like, well, with Nike, you can't even get authentic like Bucks jerseys anymore. Like, you can't get authentic jerseys.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not a jersey guy, so none of this affects me or really matters in my world. But I get it. I understand.
You're
and I certainly want the players. I certainly want the players to get some quality gear. You know what I mean? If they're not getting quality jerseys, then the rest of us are absolutely fucked.
But like, even like if I go into my closet and grab like all of my Adidas basketball jerseys, those all still look pretty good coming out now. It's like, but just the way that like the jerseys are now, like the middle ground jerseys, like the swingman ones, which is pretty much what everybody gets because they don't want the crappy iron-on screen printed. Because it falls apart when you put it in the wash and everything. The jerseys that they got now, the swingman ones that are like $130, those are decent enough. But man, they used to be like $85 back when it was Adidas, and they just look
inflation,
better.
Man.
Better.
It's all Joe Biden's fault.
Sure, it can be inflation, but also it's like they're just not as good either.
It's a vaccine too. All right, Drew. I'm gonna go watch the Marvels. Now. I said I was going to do that last night. I did not do it last night. I'm going to go do it now.
Corey Bauman said that we're just going to talk about superhero movies the entire time. So I don't want to disappoint him and have us talk about that. But
No, I'll give you my thoughts next time we get together. I don't think it'll be tomorrow because
Hey,
I'll be doing the Valentine's thing, but we'll be back on Thursday, I think.
Yeah, when I talk to you about this, we'll do what after Memphis, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So also just I don't want to poison the well, but I'm going to. Just keep in the back of your mind when you watch the Marvels, what constitutes as using your powers. And we'll talk about
this for me. Don't ruin this for me. I'm just gonna go turn my brain off and enjoy a movie.
That's the problem. You're turning your brain off. You're not demanding better.
Can't I just?
You're not demanding. You're the guy that's like Damian Lillard, go out there and score 13 points.
Can't I just enjoy flashing lights and explosions and like people with superpowers? Can't I just, Can't I just be an idiot for 90 minutes?
You could just watch the Fast and the Furious movies, and that's somehow gotten better than Marvel.
All right.
I've never seen iron wrenches.
I've never seen one. I've never seen 1 second of the Fast and Furious franchise. None of it.
You never even saw the original?
None of it.
It's the original's good.
Should I go back and watch it and we can review together? All right. I'll do. That'll be nice.
Other movie. I had Vegas watch all 3 Lord. I've had Reagan watch the Indiana Jones movies. We can watch Fast and the Furious.
I'll do it for content. I will do it for content.
I'll watch first Fast and the Furious with you, and then I'm going to hand you off to my girlfriend because she loves all of them, and she would, I think, love to watch all the Fast movies with you.
All right, we'll line it up. We will line it up, but I'm going to go watch the Marvels right now, and I'll give you my thoughts on Thursday, Drew.
Okay.
All right. After Bucks and Grizzlies, you know the schedule really well, by the way. I don't. Like, you were like, after Grizzlies, I was like, yeah, I guess it's the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Like, I knew they were playing Thursday, but I'm not the guy who just has the schedule off the top of my head. So yeah, I guess it's Bucks and Grizzlies on Thursday. We'll do another live stream after that one.
You should be happy that my autism is putting in a serious amount of work for this show.
All right. That's Drew Flaggy. I'm Ramie Makhlouf. This is Ramie and Drew. Like it says there across the bottom of the screen, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Follow, subscribe, like, rate, review, do all the things to help us grow this thing. I've noticed that we're getting some reaction, Drew. We're getting in both in the numbers and when I see people out in the streets, and so we do appreciate that. Tell a friend so we can keep on growing this thing. And Drew, I will have a happy, lonely Valentine's Day, and I will talk to you on Thursday, dude.
I'm playing video games. It's gonna be sick, dude.
That's true. Yeah, you're not lonely at all. All right, I'll talk to you then.